AMD shares are actually higher after reporting a quarter that was much better than expected. Joining us now to discuss how AMD did is Lisa Su. Lisa, first I want to congratulate you and also point out right from the top, two women at the top, a woman CEO and a woman CFO, and I hope you represent the future. And I think that that's just a great thing that you're doing.
Well, good morning, Jim. It's great to be here with you guys, as always.
So let's go to what really happened here, which to me looks like that the Xilinx acquisition, which I had questioned at the time because I wasn't sure you spent a lot of money, really came through and drove a lot more upside than people realize.
Yeah, it was a strong year for us as we finished up 2022, Jim. You know, if you think about it, there were a lot of moving pieces in the year, but we had a very strong fourth quarter with our data center and our embedded business growing. And what we saw is, as you said, the Xilinx acquisition has really just helped us transform AMD. So, you know, part of this was ensuring that, you know, with our broad product portfolio and our markets that we serve, that we do have a lot of diversity in our business. So we saw records in healthcare, industrial, automotive, communications, aerospace, and defense, as well. You know, very, very strong, you know, data center cloud quarters for us. So that was how we finished up the year, up more than 40% for the quarter.
Okay, so let's talk the future. Data center 30%. I was very excited about it until you dropped the bomb, which said that the cloud companies are maybe a little bit too thick with inventory. At the same time, you tried to call bottom in the first quarter for PCs, but my problem is the PC margins, as you know, are not great, and the data center margins are terrific. So should I be worried about the next 2 quarters, Lisa?
Well, you know, Jim, I'd like to take a step back and just look at, you know, sort of all of 2023. When we look at, you know, all of 2023, what we see is first, you know, compute is a secular growth driver over the medium term. And what we've seen is that our product portfolio is just very strong. We've had consistent execution with our data center roadmap. So, you know, we've talked on this show before about our 3rd generation EPYC Milan. We just launched our 4th generation EPYC with Genoa. You know, extremely strong performance, total cost of ownership for data center providers. And so, yes, on the overall, we believe that, you know, data center and embedded will grow for us in 2023. Now, there are some, you know, near-term adjustments in inventory for some of the largest cloud manufacturers, which, by the way, you should expect given, you know, just how strong 2022 was in terms of a demand environment. So, you know, we do expect some near-term inventory adjustments over the first half of the year. But we've made progress in PCs. So I know that there's been a lot of, you know, questions about PCs. We do believe that the first quarter is the bottom for PCs. And we believe very much in our product portfolio and the strategy that we put together. So, you know, that's what we're seeing as we go forward.
All right, let's go back to data center, which again, you did say that a couple of cloud customers might have too much inventory, but I saw your data center revenues up 42% year over year to 1.7 billion. I know you don't like to talk about competitors, and you have always told me not to talk about competitors. Lisa, Intel declined 33% year over year. But that's a competitor, and you can just say other competitors haven't done as well. This is a monumental delta for you. And I think at least should be, not asking you to take a bow, but just tell me just how are you able to take share like this in an atmosphere where a lot of companies aren't able to really leapfrog over other companies?
I think, Jim, this is all about product execution. I mean, you know, what we see with the largest data center providers, first of all, it's a fantastic, you know, long-term market. You know, this is our big bet that we've made over the last 5 years. And we've been just very clear that, you know, we're going to consistently execute, and every generation is going to get better in terms of performance, capability. One of the big things right now, Jim, as you can imagine, is overall sustainability, and the fact that, you know, we want to make sure that as we build these large data centers, that we do it in a way that's very sustainable and very energy efficient. And that's what we've been focused on. So I'm proud of our execution. And now there's a lot more to do. And, you know, as we look forward to 2023, we have lots of products that are coming out. We announced a number of products earlier this year. And, you know, I view this as, you know, we just need to control the things that we do control, which is our own execution and really deep partnerships with, you know, some of the largest cloud customers in the world.
But of course, of the things you can't control, Lisa, you talked about a better second half of the year when it comes to cloud inventory. Are there things in the macro that need to go right to make that happen?
Well, Carl, certainly we're always watching the macro environment, and there are lots of puts and takes as you look through what may happen as we go through the year. I think from what we see, though, what we see is there are more workloads, there are more capabilities that AMD will be able to address as we go forward in the data center and in the cloud. And so we view that as positive for us. And sure, we'll be affected a bit by the macro like everyone else will. But we think that even in this environment, we see a strong path to continue to grow share and grow our partnerships with our customers.
Lisa, then, but to those who would say, given what you've just told us in terms of the macro environment, and say, listen, following multiple years of very strong double-digit top-line growth, you're going to be hard-pressed to grow top line in 2023. What do you say?
Well, David, what I would say is we have a lot of positives in terms of the product portfolio. We believe that that's been the key for our business, and our growth has been the strength of our product portfolio and our ability to gain share. We are a very diversified company now, so we very much like our data center exposure as well as our broad embedded exposure that came from the Xilinx acquisition. And we're watching the macro, especially as it relates to PCs and gaming, which perhaps are a bit more dependent on how the macro plays out over the year. But I think overall we like the position that we're in, and we're very focused on execution as we go through the year.
Okay, so let's talk about embedded more, because I think it's such a highlight. The growth is rather extraordinary from when Xilinx was running the company. You're now into defense, into aerospace, industrial, auto. How are these markets doing versus, say, how we think the cyclical environment is in our country?
Well, I would tell you, Jim, that the overall embedded markets for us, as you mentioned, aerospace and defense, industrial, healthcare, automotive, communications, we have over 6,000 plus customers that we've brought in with the Xilinx acquisition. It's a very diversified portfolio. What we see is for each of these markets, they actually need more content. So they're using, more capability, more computing capability, and we're leading the industry with our adaptive computing capability. So I really like what we have there. I would also say that we have good visibility in terms of backlogs for these markets. They tend to be much less cyclical, I would say, than some of the other, like the PC markets and so on and so forth. So we feel very good about the growth that we've seen there. We expect to grow as we go into the first quarter. And we believe that here's another place where our market, SAM, our overall market capability is expanding, and we'll continue to invest in this market going forward. One of the things, Jim, I'll tell you is in the fourth quarter, our data center embedded businesses were over 50% of our revenue. So it is a very nice mix of revenue for us.
All right, one last question. Elevated levels, inventory cloud, I want to go back to that, but better in the second half. What gives you the visibility to be better in the second half? Because when I see elevated now, after I saw it in gaming, I saw it in PC, I have to be a little bit more skeptical than I was at one point.
Well, the nice thing about this is, we really partner very deeply with our customers. And as you know, these cloud customers are planning, for their full year. And so, we've been very much working with them on what, their various patterns are. And the way to think about it is each one is different. But at the end of the day, we need more compute in the industry. And we see them moving more and more of their computing capabilities in their data centers to AMD. So I think we feel good about our positioning. And, again, there are many things that have to play out in terms of the macro, but in terms of our product positioning and where we are in terms of the design environment, we feel very good about our overall positioning.
Well, Lisa, I want to thank you for coming on the show. This is a large position for my charitable trust, and I think that the turn seems to be here. But I know that you're very, you never overpromise because you don't want to underdeliver. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Still to come this morning, Cramer's Mad Dash will count down to the opening bell. Still some data on deck later this morning, including some PMIs, ISM, JOLTS is on the way, and the Fed. Don't go anywhere.